the Fantasy Football Fanalist Podcast, presented by FantasyData. Here's your hosts, Billy Muzio and Bradley Stalder.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Football Fanalist Podcast, presented by FantasyData. Billy and Bradley back with our Week 16 rankings. Thursday Night Football just ended, Bradley, and Debo and AJ Brown. Yeah, Debo and AJ Brown pop off this week. I know we both had Debo Samuel at wide receiver number 6 this week. I'm starting to look like it's going to be too low. I moved him back 2 spots, just thinking that it's Thursday Night Football. You know, the curse of Thursday Night Football. We never know what's going to happen. And I'm glad I moved AJ Brown up. I think he was consensus wide receiver 18 on the week is what I believe. I moved him up to 16. And so also will be too low, but glad to be above consensus. Bradley, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. Won some money on DraftKings tonight. Looked pretty good. Started Debo and AJ Brown and Tannehill and Jimmy Garoppolo. So got a lot of points there. It was a slow start to this game. At half, it was 10-0, and then the offense has really picked it up. The Tennessee figured out that AJ Brown is, in fact, on this team, and that was my concern. I ranked AJ Brown too low. I had him at wide receiver 24, and I know it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But, you know, the reality is that there was a wide range of rankers. You know, when I was looking at it, it was ranking from someone had him at wide receiver 4, someone had him at wide receiver 44. So to be in the middle, I know it was a little below consensus. There was a wide range that he could get hurt again. Julio Jones was back. Nick Westbrook-Akine has played pretty well. But especially in the first half, things were looking like, well, maybe he is busting. And then, well, the halftime speech was Tannehill, throw the ball to AJ Brown. So, you know, everyone's looking smart if they played AJ Brown. There were some people chattering on Twitter, Billy, should I even play AJ Brown?
So stupid. Like, I don't understand that's even a thought. Like, the dude's healthy. He's been sitting out. He's back. They don't activate him unless he's healthy here. We have the Niners, my Niners, who have, you know, the secondary has just been pitiful. And the front's been strong, and that's where we've been relying on. But when you have a weak secondary and, you know, teams are going to exploit that. And AJ Brown just was unstoppable versus my Niners tonight.
All right. You ready to kick it off with some rankings here?
Yeah, let me pull up the soundboard. Give me 1 second so I can drop our little sound piece. And my soundboard's freezing again. Fantastic. So no sound right now. So once that unfreezes, we'll go. Oh, no, wait. I think we got it. We got it. Let's go ahead and get our rankings dropped.
Top 10 ranking segment. Billy and Bradley's top 10 ranked positional players.
Let's start at wide receiver here, Bradley.
Ooh, do we want to? No, it's all good. For me, wide receiver 1, Cooper Kupp. And we'll play it with the chalk. Devonte Adams at 2, Justin Jefferson at 3 against the Rams. Tyreek Hill at 4 versus Pittsburgh. I'm presuming that Tyreek Hill plays. He is on the COVID list right now. If he plays, I have him in my top 5. If he doesn't play, then, well, I'm going to have to move some players up. I really don't. We'll talk about this. Why don't we go down this rabbit hole? Travis Kelce's on the COVID list. Tyreek Hill is on the COVID list. Patrick Mahomes has not had practice this week with these 2 players. If both of them are out, how significantly does it affect Patrick Mahomes' ranking for you? And is there a wide receiver aside from Tyreek Hill that you would be interested in playing at all?
I would think that you're going to see McCole Hardman step into the Tyreek role. That's why they drafted him. But Pringle's been more involved in the offense throughout the last few weeks. He's seen more snap counts. He's seen more looks. So I'm curious to see how it breaks down. I don't know. Like you don't just slide one of those guys in thinking you're going to replace Tyreek Hill, especially if you're in a shootout match like the FFWC or the FFPC. Like you're not getting that same type of output from those receivers. So confined league, great. That's fine. You can plug and play them in a confined league, and you can hope that they'll get you 10 to 15 points and that you're gonna win your matchup. But tournament play, if Tyreek's out and you handcuffed him with McCole Hardman, and you handcuffed him with Pringle or any of the other shitty wide receivers, I'm sorry, like your shootout match is over.
Yeah, I would also lean Pringle. He seems to be the more reliable wide receiver. Mecole Hardman seems a lot more boom bust and less trustworthy. A player that if it's a plug and play situation, Travis Kelce is not available to you. Noah Gray has been playing some snaps as backup tight end here. He's a rookie out of Duke. He was drafted in the 5th round. He's 22 years old, not an amazing profile, but he had a 19 and 12% target shares in his time at Duke. Learning the offense, you probably look elsewhere to fill in like for Kelce, but I mean,
I already had my button ready, Bradley. I had my button. I was ready.
That's who the next man up is in this rotation.
It was going to be this button.
Wrong.
No, we're not playing Gray here. We're looking at players like O'Shaughnessy and other players that are going to have more of a floor, but also have some ceiling with matchup base. You don't know what you're going to get with Noah Gray. O'Shaughnessy is going to get 12 to 15% of the target share in Jacksonville. I'm not starting Noah Gray. I'm looking elsewhere. All right.
Okay.
My top 10. Let's take a look.
I only went through 4 here, Billy.
Oh, go for it. Go.
Yeah, 5. I had Keenan Allen. We both had Debo at 6.
Yes.
Deontay Johnson at 7 for Pittsburgh. Stephon Diggs at 8. T. Higgins at 9. And Tyler Lockett at 10. So Tyler Lockett makes my top 10.
See if T. Higgins in, no Chase, right?
No Chase. Chase is wide receiver 25 for me. He's fallen out of favor right now.
Wow, bold. I mean, hey, what is he consensus right now?
Jamar Chase right now is consensus 8.
Yeah, I had dropped him below 8. I mean, was wide receiver. Let's go to half scoring here because that's what the ranking system is. 108 last week, then 4 the week before, 37, 53, 27. So I get why you're ranking him there. It's just so hard to rank him outside like that far from me.
The last time that they played Baltimore, he had 200 receiving yards. But if you remember, like 70 of those yards came on a broken play. The Baltimore secondary is more banged up, compared to last time. But my argument against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase is that the pace of the play is slower now for Cincinnati over the last 3 or 4 games. And Cincinnati has become one of the run heaviest teams over the last 3 or 4 games. And Joe Mixon. So third reason is Joe Mixon got in 2 full practices so far this week. I don't think they move away from running the ball pretty heavily, given that they're winning and they're top of the division. They're leading the division over the Steelers, over the Ravens, over the Browns. So I think that they'll continue to use that recipe. And I think that unfortunately, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're going to be affected a little bit. I might even move T. Higgins down a little further, but we'll see here.
Yeah, I have T. Higgins a little bit lower. I have Jamar Chase a little bit lower, but not that low. But I do have them out. First, I have them next to each other. I have them as wide receiver 13, wide receiver 14.
Okay.
So I am down versus consensus. I think that's -5. Is that -5 for Chase? Yeah, 8, 9, 10. Yep, that's 5. So wide receiver 1 for me for the week, Cooper Kupp. I'm not getting cute. Devonte Adams at number 2. I think those you just pretty much almost every week just plug and play, swap the 2, however you want to do it. But Cooper Kupp is phenomenal. So Devonte Adams at 2, Keenan Allen at 3 versus Houston. Justin Jefferson at 4 against the Rams. I think that Thielen will be back, so I dropped him 1 spot versus consensus. He's just been phenomenal. I don't think you can drop him much more than that. Deontay Johnson I have at 5 versus KC. Debo I had at 6. Wish I would have left him at 5. And then I actually have AB inside my top 10, number 7. So no Godwin, no Evans most likely. I think Antonio Brown comes back at the most needed time for Tom Brady in this offense. And you look at what he did prior to getting injured. He only played weeks 1, 2, and then he was out week 3 versus the Rams. He came back weeks 4, 5, and 6, and he had, so what is that? That's 5 starts. 3 of his 5 were inside the top 10. Wide receiver number 9, 4, and 6 inside those 3. The other ones were wide receiver 88 and 37. So there is a floor there, but all those weeks were with Godwin, with Evans on the field. So without either one of those, when we've been ranking both of those inside of our top 10 on a week-to-week basis, for me, Antonio Brown is a for sure thing this week. Stephon Diggs at 8, Lockett at 9, and then Jalen Waddle at 10.
Ooh. All right. I have Antonio Brown at 12, so not too far outside the top 10. I think Carolina is a tough matchup. I also think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have a little more difficult time moving the ball down the field and getting into scoring position. But I'll talk more about that later when we talk about Ronald Jones. I like your Jalen Waddle call. I have him at 13 against New Orleans. And New Orleans is planning to start Ian Book because Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian were both placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. So I think that this is a pretty negative game script, and I'll consider moving Jalen Waddle up actually in light of that news. I anticipate, more game script, positive game script for the Dolphins and Tua.
I saw that name today. I'm like, who?
Fourth round quarterback from Notre Dame.
Right, like very rarely do I find myself like looking at a player who they're saying is going to be starting, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, I just don't even know. Like I had to do research on him today. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not going to be pretty. So, and you see now they have a bunch of defenders out too. So, we'll keep an eye on the Saints and what's happening, because that could be, what's been a notoriously tough defense may not be this Sunday.
And they play on Monday night, so there could be even more COVID cases over the next few days. This is a situation worth monitoring, and I like the Jalen Waddle call. And bumping him up might be a smart move here. Let's see, any others that were pretty significant? With the Keenan Allen situation, so you had him ranked as wide receiver 3, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, what impact would Austin Eckler's absence have on Keenan Allen? Are you assuming that Eckler is out? Or
yes, I'm assuming Eckler is out. I think that Allen will see an uptick. I think consensus he was 4 or 5, so I only bumped him up 1 or 2. If Eckler is indeed ruled out, I might move Allen to 2. Just can't supplant Kupp against Minnesota, but 2 is as high as I'll go. But I am kind of expecting Austin Eckler to be out. In a podcast earlier today with him and Liz Loza and Dawson Knox, he told people to go pick up Justin Jackson. So Austin Eckler is a huge fantasy guy. I mean, he respects the fantasy community, and if he's telling us to pick up Austin Eckler, that's probably a sign to me that he's not playing.
If Austin Eckler is telling you to pick up Justin Jackson, then definitely. And if you remember last week, Justin Jackson ran for 86 yards. So he has it within the range of outcomes. I think Jackson has proven himself to be the backup that you want. I have ranked Keenan right now at 5, but I agree with you. I'll bump him up, and I have ranked Eckler as well until he's officially ruled out. He's going to make the ranking, but how high would Justin Jackson make it into your top 12?
No, I think Justin Jackson is going to be a trap.
Ooh, I like that call.
Yeah, I thought tonight. Like I had Wilson at running back 20. I forget what consensus was. Let's just hop to running backs. We're talking about it.
Yeah, might as well. Let's do it.
So I had Wilson at 20. I'm going to see where he was consensus wise. I forget where he was.
Consensus for half point was wide receiver or running back 22, and
right
for half point.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I moved him down. So. Let's move him down even further. So he lucked into that touchdown. I had him
at consensus, but I thought consensus must have moved down since I had updated about a half hour before.
Yeah, it was at like 18.
Yeah, I had moved him down to 22.
And like same thing with Foreman. I moved to 25. that offensive line was in shambles tonight. 49ers defense has been pretty legit. I just, as much as I like Foreman and how as well as he has played lately, and I've been one of his biggest advocates, I just thought tonight, I was talking with one of my draft partners, Dave, and we were talking about Foreman just being a trap play, and moving down my rankings, and we took him out of most of our lineups. So I'm happy we did so. He did luck into a touchdown as well. So it salvaged his night, but it could have been pretty ugly had he not got that.
Yeah, he was consensus running back 23. I did have him at 19, so bailed out by that touchdown. I agree.
Yeah, if Justin Jackson answer your question, right now I have him and Eckler at 26 and 27. I'm assuming Eckler will be out, so Eckler will get deleted, but I'll probably leave Justin Jackson. I'll probably bump him up to like running back 24, 23. I'm not going to go much higher than that. I could see an instance where they're playing 2 or 3 backs, and it's going to be situational. And there's just a lot more names ahead of him that I like more.
And Joshua Kelly, as you mentioned, could steal goal line work, right?
Yep,
Larry Roundtree
exactly.
might get a couple touches sprinkled in. Yeah, it could get messy, but let's get into our running backs here. Running back 1 for me this week, I didn't get cute Jonathan Taylor at number 1, but number 2, I did kind of get a little cute. James Robinson at number 2 against the New York Jets. And I tweeted out earlier today, 9 of the 14 games that have been played against the Jets, there have been 9 top 6 running back performances against the Jets this year in 14 games. James Robinson was the running back 4 last week, and we saw how Duke Johnson was the running back 1 overall against the Jets last week. So James Robinson, I think he is a smash top 5, very safe top 5, but I have him at 2 because, he's going to get the rock, and Urban Meyer's not there to take it away from him.
I like it. I have at 6. So I'm just outside.
Austin Eckler, I have right now at 3, but we're monitoring that situation. Madison for me is at 4 against the Rams. Alvin Kamara is at 5 against Miami. Najee Harris at 6. Cordero Patterson at 7. Javonte Williams at 8. David Montgomery at 9. And Antonio Gibson at 10.
Okay. Let me just take a final peek here, what I have. Okay. I'm pretty similar with you in the top 4, 5, 6, just kind of flopped around. JT, of course, is 1 with you. I then have Alvin Kamara at 2. I just think that it's going to be a big Alvin Kamara game with a third-string quarterback. I just don't have a lot of faith in the passing game. I can see a lot of dump-offs and a lot of handoffs, so I think Alvin Kamara gets the eat this week. Nick Chubb I have at 3. Alexander Madison I have at 4 along with you. Najee Harris at 5. I think this is a get-right game for Najee. He just has not been the Najee we saw in the first, 11 weeks of football. He's kind of fallen off as of late, but this offense has just kind of looked a little dysfunctional. But KC is exploitable on the ground, and I think Najee will take advantage of that. I have James Robinson at 6 right now. I like the call, though. He might move up. And then I have Patterson also at 7. I have David Montgomery at 8. Against Seattle, I have Javonte at 9.
So we're flip-flop there.
Yep. And then I have Zeke at 10.
Ooh, Zeke I have down at 16.
Yeah, he's Washington usually plays him tough, but he's been pretty consistently seeing 14 to 16 touches a game, 50 yards. He's been getting a touchdown pretty regularly. He's getting like 5 to 6 targets a game. So I think that I think that Zeke will be. I mean, this week you're looking at running backs, and there's a few other names depending upon news that may slide up or slide down, but we talked about Rojo. I just don't have faith in Rojo this week, and against Carolina at that, and 2 down back, bad hands. I just don't see it happening. So he's outside my top 10. At consensus, he's inside the top 10 right now, but I can't get on board with it.
Yeah, I'll talk about Rojo here in a few minutes, but I'm with you there. Nick Chubb, I have at 11. Green Bay has just played really tough defense this year, and we saw what happened last week against the Raiders, and the Raiders weren't a good run defense, and they knew that Nick Chubb was coming. We also don't have official word that Baker Mayfield's going to be available for this game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reality is
they're saying he's going to start. That's because it's a formality right now because his 10th day is tomorrow, but they're expecting him to be activated tomorrow.
Still, even when Baker's been out there, like the offense has just not looked good, and to get them into scoring position, like it was David Njoku who was supposed to have that touchdown. He missed it by like 3 inches because his foot didn't go in. That's where Nick Chubb's day was bailed out against the Raiders. So
I'm assuming that's his ranking. Good job, Jay. Glad to have you on the show, buddy.
Congrats. Phenomenal.
Here's a player I'm interested in talking about. So James Conner said he expects to play, but let's just say that they get conservative here and they decide to sit James Conner. How far up are you willing to move Chase Edmonds?
Okay, so right now, Chase Edmonds is my wide receiver 30 or my running back 39, and it's against Indy. And we just saw what Indy did against the Patriots. Ramondre Stevenson did nothing. And that was in a game script where Ramondre Stevenson, the pass catcher, was supposed to be like pretty involved and just didn't happen. The matchup is bad. The Arizona Cardinals have struggled over the last few games to get their offense together. I'm not confident that they'll get it right against Indianapolis, even if it's at home. And the Arizona Cardinals have really struggled at home this year. So I think that the matchup, the time split, I'm not confident in Chase Edmonds unless, maybe scratches running back 2 territory for me, because that's where I have James Conner right now, about running back 24 or running back 25. So he'll probably vault up there if Conner's ruled out. But I don't have a lot of confidence in Chase Edmonds this week.
Man, if Conner's ruled out, I think Chase Edmonds is catapulted in like running back 14, top 15 for me. Oof. You look at what he did in the beginning of the season. I mean, I know this is half PPR, so it's a little different, but full PPR leagues, he was phenomenal in the beginning of the year. He was, running back 17, running back 20, running back 20, running back 24, running back 13. He was a very serviceable high-end RB2. And you look at this week, like you said, they haven't been playing well. Indy is tough. You're probably going to dump him off to him. I could see him catching a lot of balls in the flats, a lot of screens. I could just see a lot of that type of involvement here for Chase Edmonds and creative play calling to get him involved and to get this offense back in a rhythm. So I guess a contrarian viewpoint, but I could see them getting Chase Edmonds heavily involved if James Conner, morphing the two, if James Conner is indeed ruled out. But we do expect him to play. They said today that they expect him to play, but we just never know with these coaches right now. It's week 16. It's 2022, 2021, almost in 2022. We have no idea what these coaches are doing. They're being very conservative, and things just seem to be just chaos. And it would not be, outside of the question for James Conner to be ruled out.
Okay, so let's look at like the couple sample sizes that Chase Edmonds, like if he gets the majority of run. Last year he had an opportunity against Miami, and Miami, they play teams tough every year. Their defenses always seem to be underrated, but he had 25 carries last year against Miami. We can't
compare 2020 to 2021. But you have different offensive lines, different defenses, different coaching systems.
21, running back 21. It's within the range of outcomes that even if he gets a large amount of volume,
I don't even like to compare week to week, let alone year to year. Look, this was another discussion I had off the air with someone today, and we're talking about Devonta Foreman and
Devonta Freeman or Deonta Foreman?
Donta Foreman, sorry. And talking about, it was Jeff Wilson we were talking about. Sorry, there's another conversation. And it was we had 21 carries last week, but yeah, it's last week. This is a new week. It's a new team. This is Tennessee, right? And so I get what you're saying. I disagree. I just it's hard for me to look at, year year comparisons and say when he was in an absolute role and he was the guy against a different team with a different line, like it's too much variance to be able to rank in a similar conversation.
Well, this is where you're like, Bradley, let's look even deeper as a counter argument. In 2019,
get out of here.
No. I'm on your side. Don't do that. Don't make that sound. I'm on your side here. In 2019, Chase Edmonds had 27 carries against the New York Giants, and he was the running back 1 overall.
2 years ago, it doesn't matter.
That's what I mean. But the reason why it's important is for context of range of outcomes. Like if he's given the full workload, he's not going to bust at like 35, 40.
No,
but at the same time, you know, we've seen when he's given the full load, he's probably going to be a low end running back 2 with maybe high end running back 2 upside, but he has hit top 1 overall before. So
like perspective right now, with Connor slated to start, I have Edmonds as running back 30.
I have him at 39.
So same ballpark.
Yeah. Once you get to between 30 and 39, it's
like 1, 2, 3, 4 fantasy points.
Right.
Cool. Well, let's do quarterbacks because no one cares about quarterbacks, and then we'll do tight ends.
Okay. Number 1 for me, Justin Herbert against Houston.
Oh yeah, I do too.
2 is Mahomes against Pittsburgh. 3 is Matthew Stafford against Minnesota.
Okay.
4, Jalen Hurts against the New York Giants.
I like it.
5 is Aaron Rodgers against Cleveland. 6, Justin Fields against Seattle. 7,
Fields might not even play.
Well, that's a situation worth monitoring.
Okay.
But I love his matchup there against Seattle. He's been a top 10 quarterback 3 of the last 4 weeks, and the 1 week he wasn't was because he got hurt. So I like that matchup, and I like what he's done over the last few weeks. Even though he's a turnover machine, he also just produces as on the ground, and the connection between him and Mooney and him and Cole Kmet over the last few weeks has certainly improved since the beginning of the season. For me, 7 is Josh Allen against New England at New England. 8 for me is Kyler Murray. Notice the fade of the Arizona Cardinals here. 9 is Dak Prescott against Washington, and 10 is Tom Brady at Carolina.
Brady all the way at 10, huh?
Well, I couldn't take him outside of my top 10, but you have to discount him somewhat for the loss of Evans and Godwin. Like those are touchdown makers, and those are down the field threats. Both of whom, you know, I get it that he's getting Brashad Perriman back, and I get it that he's getting Antonio Brown back, but Gronk hasn't seen this kind of workload in years.
Perriman's still on the COVID list, so he probably may not play, but he's
they're
still
anticipating he plays.
Yeah, still got Scotty Miller, has AB, he has Gronk. I mean, that's like
against a tough matchup in Carolina.
That's like the A squad compared to everything he was playing with in New England. Like
Fair enough.
You look at his New England shit, and it was just like scrubs and scrubs and more scrubs, and like having Gronk and having Antonio Brown is a luxury for what he was used to playing. I get it. It's no Evans. It's no Godwin, but it's still a step up from what he's been used to playing over the previous years. I'm down on him a little bit. I have him at 8, so I'm not too far off, but I agree. It's a tougher matchup, but I just think that it's fucking Tom Brady. I mean, like the guy's just been, I mean, other than last week, the guy's just been an animal. Like,
I mean, 4 of his last 6 weeks, he's been a 10th or lower.
Yeah, let's look at big picture though. Like I'm going to go through all of the weeks. Quarterback 5, 3, 4, 28.
Evans,
3.
Godwin, AB. Yeah. Like that's why.
13, 5, 4, 14, 10, 21, 2, 29. Like I get it. He has but if you look at all his weeks, and this is hashtag analysis right here. If you look at all of his like bad weeks, like 28 followed up with a 3, 21 followed up with a 2, right? 29. I don't know. I don't think he followed up with the top 2, top 3 performance again, but Tom Brady plays a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's a bold call, Billy. Did you just say Tom Brady's going to be a top 2 quarterback for the week?
I did not. No. He's my quarterback 8, but I'm just saying, like, Just playing devil's advocate here. I'll run through my tops. I have Justin Herbert also at quarterback 1 against Houston, just smash play. Stafford, I have at 2. You had at 3. So I love the Stafford call. Yeah. I have Jalen Hurts at 3. I think you had 4. Is that right?
Yeah.
So very close in our top 3 rankings. I have Patrick Mahomes at 4. So just all kind of flip flopped. And folks, those of you listening, like Patrick Mahomes is consensus quarterback 2, and so for us to have them all lower is I mean, we're not talking huge
at
spots,
or lower than consensus. No one, we don't have him at 1 this week.
Yeah. Josh Allen, I have at 5. It's tough matchup. So I'm assuming New England plays him tough, but we'll see what happens. Aaron Rodgers, I have at 6. Kyler Murray, I have at 7. Brady at 8. We've already talked about Brady. Dak Prescott needs to get his head of his ass. I have him at 9. And then I have Joe Burrow at 10 against Baltimore.
Interesting. What are you doing with Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley this week?
Neither in my top 10. They'll be at like quarterback. If Lamar plays, he'll be like quarterback 12 to 14. He makes his money on the ground. That ankle isn't good. He's not going to be able to run. I don't think he plays. If Huntley comes in, he's playing Cincinnati. It's a division game. They're usually tougher games. They step up. I don't think Huntley finishes the top. What did he finish? Like top 5 last week? I forget.
He was number 1 overall.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's not happening again. Like
against the Packers defense, no less.
Yeah, it was a hell of a performance. I watched that game, but I just don't see that happening 2 weeks in a row. He'll probably be like, I'm going to say quarterback. Huntley would be like quarterback 17 for me, probably. Like Tua range, Derek Carr range.
All right. How about Kirk Cousins or Lamar Jackson if he plays?
Kirk Cousins.
Ooh, interesting.
I like Lamar, without his feet, like he's a subpar like thrower. Like he has to have his feet to succeed in my opinion. If he doesn't have it, like he's not an accurate enough passer. He doesn't have a strong enough arm. Like he just isn't a good pocket passer. That's not what he is. And if you take away his mobility, there's no way I put him as higher than quarterback 12.
All right, let's move to tight ends. For me, tight end 1 this week, Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
My man, Mark, the Mandrews himself. A bold call here at number 2. This is me calling my shot. Zack Ertz, number 2.
I like it. I don't like it.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because Indy gives up the most fantasy points to tight end in the NFL. And last week, they gave up not 1, but 2 touchdowns to Hunter Henry. With DeAndre Hopkins out, Zack Ertz is the touchdown maker on this team. It's not Christian Kirk. I know they try to feed it to AJ Green, but he's just not good. Like he's okay, but he's not good. Zack Ertz is still good.
He's old.
AJ Green is old, yes. But Zack Ertz he's been consistently a top 10 tight end since coming to Arizona. And now with just a juicy matchup, I think that it's Zack Ertz time. 3, I faded George Kittle. He was the consensus 1, I believe, on the week.
He was.
I had him down to 6, and then I looked at where everyone else had him, and I was like, "Oh, I can't move him that far down," and that was a bad move. Like I should have kept him there because he disappeared. And I tweeted it out like Tennessee is really tough against tight ends. They're the 6th most difficult fantasy matchup against tight ends. It's really hard to fade George Kittle, but I didn't play him in DFS, and I did move him down. So. Yeah. So fading Kittle was the right call for Thursday night.
I also had him at 3. I had him at 5 eventually. Initially, not eventually. Initially, I've had wine. I can't speak. And then I moved him back up. I said, man, he's just been so damn good. I just can't move him down this low. And so you and I both were on the same wavelength here. We had some premonitions, but ultimately, like, you have to hit the publish button, right? Like I get scared sometimes. Like I move these guys down.
Like you put your name next to that ranking.
Yeah. I move these guys down. I'm like, man, I could look just bad having them that low. Right. Yeah. And then it happens and you're like, shit, I should listen to my gut. Right. But but at least, consensus was 1 even after the game. So we're below consensus. So we're 2 spots below. So that's going to help out in overall rankings.
For me, Dallas Goddard is number 4. I think it was really important for us to have seen the connection between Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goddard, not just Gardner Minshew to Dallas Goddard, but Jalen Hurts to Dallas Goddard. And I think that is going to carry over against the Giants, who are really struggling this year to score points. And they'll get, I think, Jake Fromm. The Eagles will. So that'll be a good matchup for Dallas Goddard. Good game script. For me, Gronk is 5 against a tough Carolina defense. Keep mentioning that, but I do want to emphasize, like, it's not going to be a cakewalk matchup. 6 for me is Kyle Pitts against Detroit. I think the Falcons move the ball pretty well, and Kyle Pitts is part of that. Cole Kmet at 7. The target share has just been there over the last 5 weeks for Cole Kmet. So we need to consider him as a top 10 play this week. Dalton Schultz at 8 against Washington. Jared Cook at 9 for me. Houston, especially if Eckler is out, those short middle of the field passes, they'll go to Keenan Allen, but they'll also go to Jared Cook. And Cook is a big bodied tight end, and he's always been a touchdown maker in his career. So Jared Cook at 9. And number 10 is Dawson Knox. I have Kelsey at 11 just as like a placeholder, but Dawson Knox made my top 10.
Let me pull it up here real quick. We're pretty similar in a lot of these. So I had Mark Andrews at 1 also. Our number 2 differs. I have Rob Gronkowski at 2. Again, it's without Evans and without Godwin. I just think that Gronkowski is going to be heavily featured alongside Antonio Brown.
Gronk has had 8 targets in the last 5 games, at least 8 targets.
I don't give a shit. He's going to get 8 this Sunday. Like he's going to get 8 before halftime.
I mean, he's going
to be fucking peppered. He's going to be living.
I might move him up, but
there's just no way. Like you have to look at like Tom Brady's just going to feed him. Like I don't see any way chance that he's below this. Like who knows? Maybe they double team him. Man, he's Gronk. He's older Gronk. He's not beast mode Gronk anymore. He's still good, but
he is still good.
But I have him at 2. George Kittle at 3 along with you. So hats off to us. That was good calls. Dawson Knox I have at 4. I don't care if it's New England. Dawson Knox just seems to always find a way. Last week was like, he didn't have a touchdown, which is what he's been living off of. But you look back at last time they played New England, and he had a tough matchup. He did not do well, but I think that they try to get him more involved here.
I think you're talking yourself into dropping Dawson Knox.
I kind of am right now. I'm looking at him like, oh man, I don't know why I have him here. But no,
New England always plays tight end tough, but they play every position.
They play very tough, but we look at what they did last game, and I think that Buffalo says, hey, we need to rectify that. We need to get them more involved in order for us to win. And so that's why I have them up. That's just the scenario I have created in my head. Maybe it's the wine talking. I don't know. But it definitely, to me, seems like a scenario that should play out.
Look at Dawson Knox commanding targets.
Yeah, like Dawson Knox needs to get involved in the
perspective. Okay, let me pull up the stats for you. The Patriots, on average, give up 47% fewer fantasy points to the tight end position. That is second at worst.
Yeah, I want to throw a disclaimer out there too. My tight end rankings have been ass lately, so like don't listen to it. So
Billy is mid-pod changing his rankings on Dawson Knox.
I'm changing him as soon as I talk about him. Like I've been so wrong on tight end rankings. I might move Dawson Knox even outside my top 10. I've only hit tight end rankings like 2 times all season. I think it was like tight end ranker 1 season one time, and then like 10 another time, and every time that's been like outside 100. So I'm either like very good at tight end rankings or fucking bottom of the list tight end rankings. So take it with a grain of salt.
Dawson Knox was tight end 30 in PPR last time they played the Patriots. Now that was
29.
Well, in full point, but okay, half point, yes. 29.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking myself about Dawson Knox. I have Dallas Goddard at 5. I have Zack Ertz at 6. I have Pitts at 7. I have Schultz at 8, and I have Gesicki at 9. And then I have Noah Fant at 10. I also have Kelsey at 11 for a placeholder. If Kelsey plays, of course, he gets catapulted into the top 5. So he'll probably be that's where Dawson Knox gets moved down. That's the beginning of the free fall for Dawson Knox.
Full disclosure, I did move Dawson Knox now out of my top 10 after our discussion. Like I was the lowest on Dawson Knox, and I still dropping him pretty significantly. I would probably
the thing about him though is like he doesn't command targets, but when he gets them, it's like he catches two and two touchdowns for
he gets
three targets and two of them are touchdowns.
I would take. If he plays Tyler Conklin over him, I know Conklin's not played well. I take Noah Fant. I take Evan Ingram.
Noah Fant's got a good matchup.
Evan Ingram has a really juicy matchup against Philly. They give up a ton of fantasy points to the tight end.
God, they just don't utilize him right, though. It's just like free him, please. Send him to Green Bay.
I mean, my poor Robert Tonyan shares would not be happy with that. But if you're looking for a real deep tight end, I mean, Evan Ingram has fallen off so far. He's consensus tight end 19, and I have him at 15 this week. The highest ranker is at tight end 9 on the week.
For who?
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, it's a little high.
I'm at 15, so I'm not that crazy, but
I own like $20,000 worth of Evan Ingram this year, and I've been very disappointed in his output. So he's had his weeks and he's been serviceable, but he's not been what I expected him to be. That's it? Any tight ends that you want to talk about that are outside top 10?
How
about Gerald Everett?
Ugh.
I mean, he led the team in yards the other night.
Yeah, Lockett should be back though.
Lockett will be back.
Let me look at the Seahawks get Chicago this week, and looking at that matchup, the Chicago Bears. Let me pull up the stats here. I don't know. You talk while I pull it up.
I'm looking at James O'Shaughnessy too against the Jets. Like that's a good matchup. I think
O'Shag Hennessy, absolutely. So the Bears are a tough matchup. They give up about 20% fewer than average against the tight end. So I would not be super optimistic about Gerald Everett.
Okay,
especially with Tyler Lockett back.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to try a new segment out tonight, folks. We're going to do what's called lightning takes, and we're just going to kind of speed through. We're talking under 3 minutes. So Bradley and I are each going to give 2 takes tonight. And he's going to say his take. I'm going to say my take. The other person's going to chime in for briefly, keep it under 3 minutes per take. We can also find these up at TikTok. We're going to load these at TikTok later. And then you will have, 3-minute TikTok videos on players. So Bradley, you want to go first?
Let's kick it off. Oh boy. Everyone was so excited about Ronald Jones. He's taken over the backfield. Bruce Arians is talking about him taking over the Leonard Fournette role and running over people like Leonard Fournette did last season at this time. Hold your horses. Slow it down. He's the ECR expert consensus ranking 7 running back on the week in half PPR. He's the running back 14 for me. Now, the concern is that he's not going to be on the field for third downs. He's graded at a 20 on PFF player profiler grade for run or for pass blocking. So he's not going to play third downs. Keyshawn Vaughn, Le'Veon Bell, Kenyon Barner may play third downs. So he's only going to pretty much exclusively play first and second downs. In the 5 games where he got over 100 total yards, only 2 of those games he was a top 12 running back. So it's difficult for him to access that ceiling if he doesn't get the pass catching work, which he was at the beginning of 2020, but now there are other options in that offense. He hasn't had more than 3 targets in a game since week 10 of 2020. The ball won't move as well without Evans and Godwin. I know we've talked up Gronk and think that he's a top 5 tight end on the week, and we've talked up a few other options like Antonio Brown in this offense, but this is a problem. I think Ronald Jones won't be able to deliver on ECR is running back 7, so you need him to be running back 6 or better for him to pay off where you're ranking him. I think 7 is far too rich. Running back 14 is where I have him this week.
Ooh, you're higher on than I am. I have him at running back 16. I agree with your take. You look at who he's facing. He's facing the Carolina Panthers, who are the top 10 defense against the run. I think it's trap play this week. I agree with you. Vaughn's probably going to play on third downs. there's a scenario in my head that I think that Keyshawn Vaughn could actually outsnap Ronald Jones as well. I just do not have faith in Ronald Jones this week. So I agree. Trap play, stay away from Ronald Jones. Okay, my first lightning take is going to be Saquon Barkley will finish outside the top 20 in running back rankings in week 16. This will make it his 10th time on the year he's finished as running back 20 or lower. Barkley has only finished higher on 3 separate occasions, week 14 versus the Chargers, week 4 versus New Orleans, and week 3 versus Atlanta. Barkley has also been conceding work to Devontae Booker, who has seen a 44% of the snap share in weeks 14 and 15. This offense is without Daniel Dimes for the remainder of the season. It's in dysfunction. I do not trust Saquon Barkley moving forward, and it's time to reevaluate him as a player.
Absolutely. He's splitting time with Booker. You mentioned it. They're almost 50-50 splitting it. And Barkley, he made a miraculous catch, right? With a one-handed grab in the beginning of the game. But other than that, there's not been many highlights. It just doesn't look like he's back to form. And I think that the Giants are saying, well, so much for this. Devontae Booker getting run. I think that's the big issue is volume and the bad offense for the Giants. So I agree with you, Billy. I have Saquon Barkley at running back 20 for me.
Ooh, I have him at 19, Bradley. We're close.
Great minds think alike.
That's right. All right. Last lightning round take. Go.
Well, I'm going back to the well, and I looked at running back 7, and it was Ronald Jones. I thought that was too high. CeeDee Lamb is their wide receiver expert consensus ranked 7. I have him at wide receiver 13. And in the last 4 weeks, he's been wide receiver 72, wide receiver 12, wide receiver 32, and wide receiver 27. His air yards during those 4 weeks, 5, 112, 41, and 55. Not a lot of yards down the field. And that's where CeeDee Lamb was making a lot of his money, was getting down the field, breaking away, making big catches. His player profiler comp is Jerry Rice. Washington held him to 7 catches for 61 yards. He hasn't had a 100-yard receiving game since October. And yes, I know that Washington's Cameron Curl, who guarded him last time, is one of the COVID list players for the football team. But the Washington football team has been a middle of the pack secondary over the last 3 weeks. They've not given up explosive games. I don't expect them to. And Dak Prescott over the last 3 weeks has been outside the top 20 in quarterbacks. So I don't have a lot of optimism overall for the Dallas Cowboys offense. Fade CeeDee Lamb this week.
I had the button ready, Bradley.
Wrong.
I didn't press it because he only went to 13. I have him at 11, so we're fairly close. I have him outside my top 10. He honestly will probably make it inside my top 10 come Sunday. Just Washington football team has just been atrocious. Their secondary has been extremely beatable. They've given up the 3rd most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. The only 2 teams who have given up more, Bradley, Minnesota Vikings and Tennessee Titans. Titans got gashed tonight by Debo. Vikings have been gashed by everybody, and Washington football team has just not been able to stop the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb is my wide receiver 11, but I understand why you have him at wide receiver 13.
They've played better in the last 5 games, the last 3 games. So I don't think they're the smashiest defense to play against, like how the Titans are still. Yep. Like they've made adjustments, but it's not. He's not going to get 0 for you. I'm concerned that he's going to give you that top 5, top 7 upside that you're really hoping that you drafted him to hopefully reach.
Got it. Understandable. I'm writing down times so I can cut these later. Amon-Ra St. Brown is my last lightning take. St. Brown for me will finish as a top 20 wide receiver in week 16 for his third time on the year and 3 of his last 4 games. In the past 3 weeks, St. Brown has finished as wide receiver 7, wide receiver 34, and wide receiver 6 in half-point PPR, because that's what we score here on FantasyPros Expert ranking competition. He has seen between 69 and 74% of snaps in the previous 2 weeks, and this week he gets the Atlanta Falcons, who are giving up the 5th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position, Bradley.
Well, Billy, I had him at 21. So I think it depends on whether Jared Goff is activated off the COVID list. The anticipation is that he will be. That connection seems to be just so strong between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Goff. He seems to have picked up what we hoped TJ Hawkinson would have been more consistently. Hawkinson had played well, but since the injury, I know. So sad. Hawkinson out for the rest of the year. So we can expect, as long as Goff is the quarterback and Amon-Ra St. Brown is out there, that there's going to be a connection. And I agree with you. He's a wide receiver 2 rest of the season.
Ooh, man, I'm so glad. I picked him up in the High Society League too. We're starting him this week inside of a $10,000 league. So that's how much faith I have in Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have 10,000 Amon-Ra St. Browns right now. That's what it pays off to be. So I hope he hits. I really do, because I need him this week more than anything, because I have no Mitchell, I have no Evans. That team is taking some injuries, and so if I can get some good points out of him this week and get Mitchell back next week, we're in good shape. Well, folks, that is a wrap here for our Christmas episode, because it's Christmas in a couple days. So Merry Christmas to all of you tomorrow, Christmas Eve. Bradley, do you have any Christmas traditions that you guys do?
Oh, my family loves the tradition. So tomorrow the Stalders are all coming over to my family's house in Cleveland, and we're having a little get together. I bought, 9 6-packs, and so I take one out of each of them and make it a holiday 5-pack. Put a little bow there, and then give it to all of the cousins and the uncles and everyone. And then on Christmas Day we get up and there's presents. They're all wrapped. Have you heard of this debate, Billy, where parents are either wrapping or not wrapping the presents under the tree?
Who the fuck doesn't wrap presents?
Like what is this? Like when Elizabeth told me,
get the fuck out of here. No, that's bullshit.
Like when Elizabeth told me that some parents are just like putting presents under the tree, it definitely was from some lazy parent who was like, I'm just too tired, I'm just not gonna wrap it.
What the hell is this? Like, I am not a rapper, right? Like I bought my wife a set of golf clubs last year, and like, I don't know if you've ever seen golf club bags. Like these boxes are like 4 feet long and like 1.5 to 2 feet wide. Like, they're big boxes.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I went down to the garage with a bottle of wine, and I sat there and I wrapped this thing. It took me like an hour to wrap this thing because I suck at wrapping. But I don't care. That's part of Christmas. You wrap the fucking present. Who the fuck is throwing the present under? I mean, it's a bicycle. Okay, you don't need to wrap a bicycle. You build the bicycle and put a bow on it, throw it at the tree. But come on, like, sure, you have presents and you're not wrapping them, just throw them in the tree. That's bullshit. Like,
that's lazy parenting. What
that's
what
not
is
even parenting? That's not even lazy. This is bullshit. I'd be like, if I was a kid, I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Come
what
on,
is this?
Santa's elves are deaf. So yeah,
Santa's short staffed too, because everyone got their $5. No one, the elves are on strike.
Come on now. But my parents always have this like 12-foot live tree that they always get every year, and it's very beautiful. And when we get up in the morning, there's like Christmas music still playing from the previous night that's just on repeat. And my prayer each year is that we have snow on Christmas. Like, that is dreaming of a white Christmas. That's the one thing I hope for. And it's just a magical time. We unwrap presents, have some coffee, and do our thing. And then we actually go up to her parent. We go back home to Michigan on Christmas Day, because her parents also want to spend time with us. So we split time on Christmas. How about you, Billy? What are some other traditions that you do?
So my mom used to do all the cooking before she passed away. I'm now the cook of Christmas. And we wake up, we open presents. Do you eat breakfast first, or do you open presents first?
Oh, we open presents first.
Yeah, we do too. So we go through and open all the presents.
We make sure the coffee is made, and then we open the presents.
Yeah, and like, we're eating candy before we're eating bacon and eggs, and then we go back and we make breakfast, and then we usually watch like a parade or whatever it is on TV with Christmas music playing also in the background, and then from there we usually just kind of hang out as a family, and I start cooking. Like, I do the roast. So we do like a 3-bone in prime rib, and then we do potatoes au gratin. And there is a difference between scalloped potatoes and au gratin. And if someone says, oh, which one's better? One has flour and one has cream. And you tell me which is better, flour or cream. And the answer is cream. So potatoes au gratin is the answer. And then we do green bean casserole. And of course, there's wine, lots of wine. So that's the truth.
What is a Muzio celebration without wine?
Oh, there is no celebration without wine. Like it's in my blood, right? Like I bleed red wine. That's what it is. And so that's tradition. Like it's the kids wake us up and we go downstairs and we have Christmas together. And that's like kids make Christmas so much more magical, right? Like, cause like it reminds me of the time, like when I was a kid and we were in Christmas with my parents, like, and then you're in a young adult and you're in college and then you're in your working career and you don't have kids yet. And Christmas just isn't the same, right? Like it's not as magical. It's not as beautiful of a moment. And then you have kids and it just brings back the magic to Christmas that I love so much. It would not be the same if I didn't have kids.
I remember when I was very little, I would run downstairs at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and I knew it wasn't time to open presents, but I would lay on the couch and I would just fall back asleep and the lights of the Christmas tree would still be on and everything else in the house was dark. And there was just something like as a child that was magical. And I think that's like one of the greatest gifts that you can give your children is like these moments of a beautiful childhood. Like they have memories and there are moments that make childhood not just pleasant, but like they feel tremendously loved in those moments. And so to give those opportunities during Christmas time, especially, that's something that both Liz and I, we very much value for our family.
Well, everybody, the Fantalist, Bradley and myself wish you all a Merry Christmas. We hope you get your Christmas is a fantasy football championship and extra points in the shootout. So thanks for tuning in.
Hopefully some negative COVID tests.
Yes, hopefully negative COVID tests to get some players back on the field. Kelsey hope stays because I don't have Kelsey and I hope he sits there. But everyone else can come back. So everybody, Merry Christmas from the Fanalists. And we will see you all back here next week. Merry Christmas.